This episode is sponsored by Chavid Properties. Think, create, build. Visit at Chavid Properties on social media to learn more.
So what event do you think sparked this change? Like, can you pinpoint any moment, any time you just had that realization? Like, it could have been like the lowest moment, or like some thing that just had you realizing all these things.
I was just tired, Rodney. Like, I was tired of going through the same emotions. I was just tired, and I just asked myself that, what is it am I not doing right? Like, what is it? Like, I was just tired of going through the same things over and over, the same cycles, the same behaviors. Like, I was just tired. Because I was like, surely there's more to life than what I'm experiencing currently.
Man, oh man. Ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to listen to is an intimate conversation between myself and a really cool South African woman who also happens to be my friend, whom I went to uni with between 2009 and 2013. Together, we revisited some of those experiences from our uni days to see what new lessons we could take from them with our more matured minds. Things were said, revelations were made. My guest Karabo Malebaco also opened up about her mental health issues from back in the day, and it's crazy how we were clueless about it at the time. How did something so important take so long to become a mainstream issue? Outside of that, Karabo talked about what it's like being a South African woman, the mediocrity of South African men, Nelson Mandela's legacy even. And see, I love getting South Africans' point of view on Mandela. You'd be surprised the mixed feelings that man generates in his people. I find it fascinating. Then Karabo and I finished up with orgasms and empathy. And it's only on The Young God you will ever get to hear about Nelson Mandela and orgasms in the same conversation. Nothing like it. Nothing like The Young God podcast. So, yeah, I'm happy to share Karabo's point of view and voice on this show, and I hope you enjoy it half as much as I enjoy bringing it to you. My name is Rodney Omokache, and you're welcome to The Young God. Karabo Malebaco. K-Rob Money. It has been a long time since you and I did any sort of conversing. Probably last time was in uni, right?
Yes, too long. Yeah, too long.
Do you remember those conversations we used to have?
I don't remember them, but I know, knowing you, Rodney, they were probably silly or naughty.
You already know. What? And
Yes.
if someone said the Rodney you knew then was going to have a podcast.
Yeah, I'd be like, yeah, I see it. I see it. I mean, I was there when you started, Rodney.
Yeah.
The dirty, sexy, cheesy show.
Yeah, the some of those videos are still on YouTube somewhere. I can't remember what channel, what that channel is called. Or
really?
Yeah, but I'm sure it's somewhere in there if anyone is really curious or serious enough to find it.
Yeah, I remember seeing them on Facebook. You'd post on Facebook, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you told me then that this would be you now, I'd believe it. I believe it for sure.
Yeah.
You
know, I know this was short notice when I reached out, and I was thinking to myself, I wanted to like spice things up a little bit for my audience, especially because They've heard, I just felt like I want to have more diverse voices on this podcast.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah, I've talked to a lot of Nigerians, and I felt like I needed a new voice, a new point of view. And then I remember that I have this South African friend. In fact, I have lots of friends, from all those places that I've been to. But I do know this South African
Yeah.
lady who is doing some interesting things, and
Yeah.
it would be nice for my audience to get a sense of how a South African sees the world. And I know it's not going to be representative of every South African, but it's going to definitely
Yes.
be a fresh perspective on things, especially considering
Yes.
that you are someone who knew me from back in the day when Rodney was
Yeah.
still in his early 20s and trying to get a degree and up to all kinds of mischief. You know the vibe.
Yeah. I know it. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you remember about our days in uni?
Yeah. I remember. I don't know. Like uni was is a bit of a bleak past for me.
Yeah.
But I remember I would hang out with you a lot, and you were always into like these creative things, like photography, also. Anything computer work based, that was just you.
Yeah.
And you were also funny. I think that's why I enjoyed like hanging out with you a lot, because you were just funny, and you were quite a character.
I wasn't I?
Yes, you really were quite, and you didn't care what people thought and all of that, because you just continued to do you. Yeah.
What do you do now, by the way?
Okay, so currently I'm a model.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've recently started creative directing,
Oh.
which is, yeah, but more fashion. So I conceptualize either photo shoots or fashion film. I conceptualize and then I put a team together, and then we just work and bring that vision to life. I'm also studying. I'm studying a BA in fashion, focusing on fashion media. Oh.
Okay. So you're really
Yeah.
diving deeper into this fashion world, huh?
Yes, yes. Fashion is my passion, and
Has it always been?
it's not always, but the moment I realized that actually, so how I actually realized was I actually enjoy looking good and feeling good and making things and people around me look good and feel good.
Yeah.
So fashion is, in a sense, a way of expressing that. So I figured that I might as well try it. But how I got into fashion was through modeling. So once I started modeling, only then did that become more real to me, that actually I could pursue something within fashion.
Okay.
And it doesn't necessarily, yeah, not necessarily specifically fashion design, because when people think fashion, they limit themselves to fashion design, but there's like a lot more things you can do within fashion. So yeah.
Like what?
I mean, there's styling, there's modeling, there's photography, there's makeup, there's
Right.
fashion buying, fashion merchandising, being a window dresser. Um, yeah, there's a lot.
It
There's a
seems
lot.
like that course that you're studying right now is very necessary for the next step of your life, huh?
Yes, it is. Because even now, the things that I've learned so far is what I've been applying through my creative directing. Because I did do like photography and computer literacy design, like just knowing how to conceptualize using the computer, obviously designing and all of that stuff. So it's been very, very useful. Even photography, even though I don't like taking pictures per se, but knowing what is needed for a picture to look a certain way, that's important. So it has helped with that also.
I can
So yeah.
imagine. I can imagine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
let's take it back for a second. You mentioned that
Okay.
university was bleak. How so?
Monash particularly, because I dropped out. I don't know if you're aware.
You dropped out?
Yeah, I didn't finish. I dropped out because I was extremely unhappy with what I was studying. I just felt that yeah, this wasn't me. It wasn't me. So well, before dropping out, I was just kind of depressed, and then from that, it led to me dropping out. Yeah.
You know,
So that's why, like, yeah, that period was just a little bleak, a little hazy, because, yeah.
yeah, I think I'm putting two and two together now because I mean, when I remember the Karabo from back in the day and what you're saying now
Yeah,
about it being bleak and being depressed, it kind of adds up.
yeah,
Especially when I think about all the things
yeah.
I now know about, mental health and how it works, which
Mm,
now that I think back is like, how did we not know anything about mental health at the time?
mm,
Like it seems
mm.
so
That
basic
is
right
so
now.
true. Mm, mm. That is
Wow.
so true. But I guess you wouldn't know about it unless you're actually in it. That's how you learn in any case. Because even with me, when I found out I was depressed, I was like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Like, so it's crazy. But yeah, mental health is something else.
Wow. And who can imagine what other students were going through in that vein?
Mm,
So do you think the
mm.
depression was caused by you choosing what you studied, or you studying something you were not really passionate about, or was it just like being away from family, or was it maybe just being unable to figure out yourself socially? What do you think it was?
It was all of that, me, all of that. But the deepest cause of it was, so initially before I started varsity, I wanted like a gap year, and it was something I had spoken to my parents about. But African parents, they're like, no gap year. What is a gap year? You'll be sitting at home wasting time, whatever. So I was like, fine, I'll suck it up and go to varsity. And the course I chose in varsity, I chose it based on the marks I got, my final matric marks that I got. It wasn't anything that I was passionate about. And also I felt that I didn't really know myself that well. So that's why I initially wanted a gap year, because I also had issues of people pleasing. I obviously wanted to please my parents. So instead of just standing up for myself, I was like, okay, let me just go to varsity,
Yeah.
get it over and done with, and finish. So I think when my parents had said no, that little spark in you that you had left, like in that moment, mine just died. Like it was gone, poof. And then I was just like, I don't know. I don't even know how I made it. Honestly, I don't know how I made it. So yeah, when you're just in a dark place. Obviously, the things you attract, or the people you attract, are not necessarily good for you in that point, because you're vibrating at a low energy level. Everything and everyone you attract will be on the same level as you.
I remember you had like great friends, Valencia, Fumi. I mean, I was in your life and I wasn't like in that
Yeah.
sort of space. So I think it still spoke because I knew that. I mean, I didn't know you were depressed, although I did get a hint of a sadness about you now that I think about it. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I still liked, your energy. I still liked, the kind of like the core of you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
if you were in a different situation, you'd be like the best version of yourself. But like,
Of
even with all of
course.
that going on, I still got a sense like this is someone cool that I didn't mind hanging out with from time to time.
Hanging out with. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing, Rodney. I feel like when I was with you, I was like a different me. Like I could be me without having to keep up or anything. But with my other friends, that was just like me trying to keep up or trying to fit in. And because, yeah, Monash were my party days, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And too much partying is obviously a distraction. Like it's keeping you from dealing with what it is that you need to deal with. Like it's not healthy.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously back then I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So yeah, chilling with my other friends, it was more of a distraction more than anything. But when I was with you, then I was just like me, you know? I could be me with you. Yeah.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that is such. Oh wow. So you've been sitting on this entire
Yeah.
time.
Yo, Rodney.
Wow, I had
And funny enough, this is something I've reflected on in the past 2 years, and only then did it like hit me that actually, yeah.
and
Yeah.
if I'd known like that was like the extent of our relationship, I think I would have been a bit more intentional about it. Because I didn't. Again,
Mm.
no one tells us about mental health and all those things, and I just kind of figured at the
Mm.
time that who you were with me was just who you were. But now that you've
Mm.
kind of like made certain distinctions, like wow, like I'm so glad that I was able to be there for you in that way, even though I didn't even know what I was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, yeah, for real. Like
Yeah.
that is like, especially now getting older, because as you get older, you kind of like realize the importance of these things, of being
Mm.
someone or being a space where someone can be their most authentic self and like just
Exactly.
yeah, like now it's so important to have that in your bag, and knowing that like coming into this conversation, that was the last thing that I've expected to hear, because you seemed like for the most part like you had your shit together. You know what I mean?
No, not even. I did not have it all together. I was like failing and I was just like miserable half the time, and I just distracted myself with all the partying and boys and
Yeah.
yeah.
Something I can relate to is also being in that space where looking through the Monash university like course list, like list of things you could study, there was really nothing that appealed to me, passion wise. So one of the stories I always tell
Mm,
people about how I chose my course was, and I think I told you this, you may, I did mention this probably when we're younger, but when I was choosing my
yeah.
course, I said to the course rep, I said, which course has the most women? Yeah, the most girls. And this
That is
lady,
something you would have said.
I looked her dead in the eye and I said, which courses have the most women? And she looked me dead in the eye. She didn't even
Yeah.
she wasn't even surprised. She didn't even break a sweat. She just said international relations and journalism. And that's what I studied.
Yeah.
That was it. And now I am a podcaster.
Look at you.
And it kind of worked out, because even as a kid, my parents did because when they asked them to to fill this form, kind of like
Mm,
talking about what they think their child was gonna do in their adult years, and I was 10 years old at the time when they filled this form. And my mom and dad did, figure broadcasting was my future. In my future, they put that down. So it still kind of worked
Wow.
out in that way, but
Yeah.
I don't think I would have gone like for journalism straight up. You know what I mean? I'd have probably taken a more media type of like course if it was available. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And so just like
That's
you,
crazy.
I know, right? And just like you, how you like used boys and parties to distract yourself, I used like all these creative outlets to like get through it all. So we kind of dealt in our
Yeah.
own way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And man, nothing like having great friends in uni. I count you among them. I count also Neil, Patrick, Cedric. You remember those
Neil,
those guys?
yes, I remember them.
Yeah, hanging out was always a trip, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
It was. But you guys kept it real. You guys kept it real, which was cool.
The best guys, those guys, the best. Something else that happened with Patrick and I was when we first met, he used to hate my guts, right? He told me this personally, and he told me like probably the year before we graduated, right? He told me that when he first met me, or when he used to see me around campus, he used to hate my guts. He used to see me like walking around with all the pretty girls, and he would like, I wish this nigga would just like, step to me wrong so I can like put him in his place. And he was this big guy, he's a big, tall, masculine, French West African. You know what I mean? So that is definitely someone you don't want to cross. And he was hating on me before he even knew me. But then he said, after he got to know me, after making all those songs together and during that YouTube show you mentioned, doing all those things together, that he developed the maddest respect for me.
For you.
Yeah. So that kind of says a lot when you see that we always kept it real with each other. Like, I'm just letting you know how it was between us even. Yeah. So
that's cool.
Man.
Clearly, you've been keeping it real.
I've been keeping it real. I've been a god.
That's good.
Before I knew I was.
Definitely.
So what have you learned about life between then and now?
Oh my gosh, a lot. I've learned a lot of lessons actually. Especially in the last 2 years, because I've spent a lot of time just reflecting on my life, and because currently I'm just in a transitional phase, so a lot of things that I used to do, like I no longer relate to, and I just learned that it's a part of life to just grow and evolve, and the things and people that you used to lean on to, rely on, or whatever, they're only there for that certain time period, They can either move with you if they are also within that space of moving with you. If not, you should be able to just let go, because those things and those people can no longer serve the person that you are becoming. So I've learned that I need to let go of things and people that no longer serve me and my growth. Also just surrendering to life, like letting go. It's one of the easiest things to talk about, but the hardest things to do. I've learned so much.
I bet you have.
Yeah.
So, did you outgrow Fumi and Valencia?
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, I did, but for me, kind of, outgrew us first because I think she was going through her own journey.
Right.
And I mean, I reflected on that as well. But I mean, I wouldn't know what it is she exactly went through, but she probably did go through the same thing. And yeah, it's a part of growing up. I mean, you do outgrow a lot of things and people, you know. So
What's the biggest change you've seen in yourself
um
between then and now?
I I no longer tolerate bullshit.
Ooh, there we go.
Yeah, like back then I was just so friendly, but I was just too friendly to the point where I'd let people to walk all over me.
Yeah.
And now, yeah, now I'm still friendly, but I have boundaries now. And
Yeah.
respect is just a minimum. So please don't disrespect me.
Yeah, that is definitely
Yeah.
a change. The Karabo I knew then couldn't talk this way.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. You see? Yeah, like yeah, I've had to learn that it's important who I allow to keep around me because it just shows that I value myself and my time, you know. So I should be cautious of the people I spend time with and the things that I spend time doing. They
so
should be of value.
so what event do you think sparked this change? Like can you pinpoint any moment, any time you just had that realization? Like it could have been like a like lowest moment or like some thing that just had you realizing all these things.
I was just tired, Rodney. Like, I was tired of going through the same emotions. Um, I was just tired. And I just asked myself that, what is it am I not doing right? Like, what is it? Like, I was just tired of going through the same things over and over, the same cycles, the same behaviors. Like, I was just tired. Because I was like, surely there's more to life than what I'm experiencing currently. And funny enough, when COVID happened, um, when it started with the whole lockdown, like literally, so there's five of us at home. Um, both my parents and two of my brothers, but one of my brothers wasn't around. So both my parents and one of my brothers were all sick with COVID. And I was the only one who wasn't sick, which was like crazy. But yeah, thank God for that.
Yeah.
Thank God for that. To the point where both my parents ended up being hospitalized and my brother was at home, luckily. But when I had to take care of everyone at home, you know, these are the people who I rely on when I'm weak, you know, these are the people who I seek strength from.
Yeah.
But now to go from that to all of them, like me being that for them, like
Yeah.
they were seeking strength from me. And that just made me realize what I am capable of, that when shit gets real, I am very capable of pulling my sleeves up and doing the work that's necessary to do. So, because I was just so tired of feeling the way I was feeling, I was like, yeah, it's now time for me to do what I need to do to just get away from or to end this so called feeling of being tired. So, yeah.
So you were sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Basically, yes.
God
Yeah.
damn. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that COVID year, that 2020 year, it was an eye opener for a lot of people around the world, and you know,
Mm.
I think it's one of those things, and I kind of predicted this right when it happened. When I was doing my podcast, then I would say that 5, 10, maybe 20 years from 2020, some conversations you'll
Mm.
be having, and you will look and you would ask someone, what was 2020 like for you? Like everyone has a unique story or experience about how
Mm,
2020 was,
mm.
pivotal in their development. And that's
Yeah, that's very true.
it's cool to hear yours.
That's very. I don't know. I somehow believe that it was God or the universe's way, just trying to plant that awakening seed. Because I don't know. There's it just feels like there's some shift, some spiritual shift. Some awakening that occurred with 2020. Because literally almost everyone's world was just turned upside down. It was adjust or die.
Adjust or
But
die.
yeah,
Shit, I thought I
yeah,
was gonna die in 2020. I did not think I was that special that I would survive COVID if I got it. Luckily, I didn't get it, but
yeah.
I was pretty sure, the way this virus and this pandemic is looking, I might not see 2021. But here we are. While you're here, I want to tell you about Chabit Properties, who are proud sponsors of this podcast. They are a luxury real estate company that is also committed to developing sustainable mass housing. Ambitious stuff. Check them out on social media at Chabit Properties. Chabit Properties. Think, create, build. So, let's take things in a different direction now.
Okay.
What is it like being a South African woman?
Whew. So I consider myself privileged, even though I'm from a middle class family.
Mm-hmm.
I do sometimes see or experience things from both worlds. But it's hard being a South African woman. I won't lie. It's very hard. Um, yo, a black South African woman, like, yo, if it's not the issue of violence or abuse, because a lot of women struggle with that in South Africa. I don't know if you've seen the news of how women are brutally killed by partners or whatnot, but violence in South Africa is really bad. Even the rape, it's just really bad. And I consider myself really lucky because I stay in a neighborhood where I feel safe enough to like take walks, whether no matter the time of day. And even the men in my family, they're very caring and supportive, and they make me feel safe. So I'm very lucky in that regard. Hard because there aren't a lot of opportunities out there. Like there's just so many issues, so many issues. There's not enough women empowerment also, and because women aren't empowered enough, they, I don't know, they look to things they shouldn't be looking towards to live life or to sustain their lives.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a problem. That's a big problem, especially for girls who are coming up, because what sort of message does it send for them,
Right.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a problem being a South African woman. But it does have its joys, I guess.
Like what?
Yeah. Let me think of one. I don't know. I think we're more liberated than most women in especially other African countries.
True. That is true.
Yeah. So that part, yeah, we're not as, I don't know, excuse me. we're not as oppressed. We're very liberated, and yeah, that's actually yeah,
So
it's exciting.
you're liberated, but you don't feel safe. That is a doozy of a situation.
I know. It doesn't make sense, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I take it you're single then.
Pardon?
I take it you are single then.
Oh yes, I am. By
Uh,
choice.
of course, by choice. You're a hottie. Of course, it's by
Yes.
choice. Of course, it's by choice. So, like, why? Why that choice?
Cause it's hard finding a man. It's really hard finding a man. Um, and like I also like tend to attract gents who lack the things that I want. And I've had to learn that I need to stop looking for that and start being that for myself. Maybe I'll start attracting a man who I actually want to be with. Yeah, but also I realized that maybe also I'm not so ready for a relationship, for committing. Yeah, so let me just take my time and get to know myself and enjoy being single.
You know, one thing I get a lot from my Southern African female friends is they're just disappointed and jaded by the quality of men in the dating pool
Yep.
down south. Like they're and not just they're also like East African women as well. They
Mm,
also they also talk about their men like they ain't shit. And
yeah.
yeah, I find yeah, it's a serious thing like where and I wonder what that does for like the equilibrium of the society because it's like if one half of the population is just not satisfied with the other half, like where do you go from there in the long term, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there are entire swaths of young women like yourself who are just deciding to just be single just because you know that the priorities of the men and boys in your age group, in your age bracket, other bachelors is just not aligned. It's just not,
Mm,
especially when you think about the added fear of what partners, of the violence that happens in domestic,
mm,
partnerships. So it's like I really feel for you guys when I hear those conversations and I hear women lament that shit. It's like, which way, man? Which way?
yeah.
So what do you think about South African society in general? How would you like scrutinize it? What are you experiencing? Like, what do you see the South African society as? Like, if you could describe, the values or the things that like how it is for like the average Nigerian, someone who's just like, trying to understand that society. What would you say?
Well, like South Africans are very vibrant. We're fun-loving people. We're good people. Uh, just don't mess with us. We enjoy having a good time. But I feel the problem with South Africans is we distract ourselves a lot with unnecessary things like drinking excessively,
Yeah.
and not actually dealing with whatever societal issues that we have, like underage dating or teenage pregnancy, violence. Yeah, like usually when stuff like that happens, we don't deal with it. we don't deal with it. We don't talk about it. We don't handle the situations. Um, I feel how best to handle that is through empowering girls. Like, if you can teach a girl, if you can empower a girl, surely when they grow up, they'll learn and know to make better choices and decisions, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, uh, we're good people. And apparently South African women like money. I don't know. I don't know how true that is.
All women like money.
I think I was about to say, I think women in general like money.
Shit, men like money. I don't even know what we're talking about right now.
Yes, yes. We just want that comfortable life, you know, the happy, vibrant. Yeah, we're good people. We're good.
What do you think about Nelson Mandela?
Yo, Rodney.
Let's get serious for a second.
Hectic. Much respect to Nelson Mandela. He was a visionary. Because he fought for freedom for Black South Africans. I mean, yeah, that may sound cliche, but he did, you know. And I think he was more of a, you know, a lead from the back type of person.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But how? But let's say lead from the back. How? Because he was the one who spent 27 years in prison. That seems looks very forward to me. Very in the front to me.
No, because he went to prison fine, but people were still out there fighting, you know? And before him going to prison, he was always just talking to people. He was always within the people, you know? He was never above or anything of that sort.
Right.
So even him going to prison, it was for the people, you know? It wasn't because of him per se, like singularly, but he was doing it because he had the vision that there's something bigger that'll come from this. So much respect to Nelson Mandela.
Oh wow, I never heard that angle. Okay, go on. Even though
really,
no, yeah, you put it in a way that I hadn't quite thought of. But go on.
Oh, okay. Even though some people would call him a sellout, understandably so. But I think he did what he did the best way he knew how. So yeah.
Mandela or Mugabe?
Mandela.
All day, every day.
Oh, actually.
Oh, okay.
Mugabe's problem is that he was a tyrant, but I like the fact that he was very patriotic about Zimbabwe, and he didn't allow any Western influences within Zimbabwe, because I do know and believe that Zimbabwe is rich with minerals and natural resources, right? So I think because of that, yeah, but he was too controlling.
Yeah, I'm picking Mandela all day, every day because I know, and as a Nigerian who lived in South Africa and who saw, you know, who had like what I call an objective view. Like, since I'm not involved in the you know thing per se, I can see things a little bit more objectively, right? And all I know is that when I was in Monash University with you, it was Zimbabweans coming to South Africa to get an education, not the other way around. That's all I know. You know what I mean? They're the ones who came to look for their fortune in South Africa, not South Africans going over there. So for all of Mugabe's, you know, patriotism and keeping Westerners out, I feel like South Africa left a blueprint of how to like best balance both. It's just that, again, South Africa has its own issues where even that could easily, you know, be messed up because, you know, there's just other issues going on in South Africa. But I think South Africa had the blueprint those first like 20 years after 1994, right? Those first 20 years, South Africa had a chance to like really set a very, very incredible example of how a country can bounce back. Because if you think about it, right, what happened when Mandela came out of prison could have been, by any metric in human history, the most bloody, most violent like situation. If Mandela had just said, yo, fuck these whites, kill them all, you know Black South Africa is going to do that shit. And if Black South Africa does that shit, you don't have the South Africa you have today. Like, it's bad now, but it's 10 times worse. I know that for sure. So, you know, that is the truth. So, I really do think that for all his criticisms, he did something that at least gave both whites and blacks a chance to figure it out. Like, he set it up like, I don't have all the answers right now, but I'm giving you guys a chance to figure it out. Like, I can't do all the work for you guys. I can't like liberate you and then tell you guys how to get along. And like, you get that kind of thing. Like, I can't do all the work for you. I'm fucking old. I've been 27 years in prison. Like, I need to go rest after this shit. You know what I mean? So I just set you guys up nicely to thrive, finish up the job. And then y'all didn't. That's how I see it. What do you think?
I don't know. He probably did say, yeah, you guys will see to finish fine. But if you look at the state now of, like, the state of Black people now, it's just really sad because I think it's gone from bad to worse. Because you may not believe this, but white people in South Africa, and mind you, white people are a minority. They own 80% of the country's wealth.
Yeah, that I know. I can believe that. I can believe that. Yeah.
Right? And white people are a minority. So that does not make sense. That's why I'm saying some people say he sold us out because he gave white people that economic freedom or the economic power. And then the Black people, we have the social and political power. But now, you really can't do much if you don't have any resources. Resources in terms of money.
You can't do much, but so again, this is where, like, would you agree with me if I said that Mandela was like the last great leader you guys had? Like that era of Desmond and Winnie, like that's the last era of great leaders you guys have had.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because the leaders who came after that were just pushing their own personal agendas.
And there you have it.
Yeah, it wasn't for the masses.
People.
It wasn't for people. Yeah.
So there you have it.
It was for them.
Mandela set it up that in such a way that all you guys had to do was find the right leaders, and all those leaders had to do was do the right thing, and then slowly but surely you will tip the economic skills back into the balance. But those leaders came through and they did absolute fuck all but make things worse for their people. So in the end, I'm thinking, like, for all his criticisms, Mandela was the last. He was like a hero. He was like Moses for you guys. So Moses didn't get to see the promised land, but he set it up so that you guys, so the Israelites would for sure get to the promised land.
Yeah.
And then obviously when they got there, there was always like, you know, bullshit popping up here and there. You know how people can be sometimes. You know how people are. But in general, he made it so that there was a possibility. And now, so now when people like blame Mandela for that, I feel like he's an easy target, especially because he's not here to defend himself, you know. But really and truly, when I was in South Africa, I felt as someone who came from Nigeria, and I know like the difference between like the countries was clear in terms of, you know, the foundation, the potential of it. And you guys, your leaders just did not take it up from there. That's really what it was. But
Yeah,
but
they
that's just
really
me.
didn't. No, I agree. They really didn't. They were pursuing their own agendas more than anything. And they forgot the people who actually got them in those positions.
Yeah.
So yeah, with that point, I agree with you.
Are you
I
voting
agree.
next election?
I am. I always vote. I just wish like the people who are currently in these positions would retire and leave, you know, and make room, a space for us younger people, because maybe we can bring the change that we need to see. Because I won't lie, South African politicians are old. They should retire now.
But do you think it's going to be any different? Because even you think about it, right? Like you already say that a lot of the young men and women, I don't want to say a lot, but there's enough of a sample size to feel like their priorities aren't straight either. They might get in there and just continue the same thing, just with young blood.
Cycle, yeah.
Because that's like the main reason why you can't even like date right now. Like think about it. You can't date men in your age group or in your country, and you think those are the guys that you want to lead. You know what I mean?
Surely there are those who are like willing and capable. Because I mean, if you are going to be in a position of leadership, don't make it about you, because it's not about you, but it's about the people you're leading. And I don't know, like I feel the youth has much more potential. Fine, we do have our own things that we want to achieve and whatnot, but I don't think we're all like that.
Of course
We're
not.
not all chasing. Yeah, we're not all chasing that. I don't know. Whatever.
Malema was supposed to be it. Julius Malema was supposed to be the next guy, and see how he turned out.
Yeah, no. That's one person I don't understand. But yeah, I did have a bit of hope in him, but then I just lost hope somewhere along the line, because I just couldn't understand what his angle or strategy is. But yeah.
It's an it's a worldwide problem right now. There's just a real deficit of like real, like true leaders. Like there's a deficit everywhere, not just South Africa, in Nigeria over here, in the States, in France. I mean, look at Russia and Ukraine. Like that's a war that is very, very avoidable. But, you know, leaders just decided to not lead properly. You know, so there is an issue in the world where like there's a shortage of leaders, and guess what? There are so many leadership forums, so many fellowships that are designed to like build leaders. And I'm like wondering, like, so all these things that these people are doing, like,
then what are they? Yeah,
where are these leaders? Like what's going on? You know, nothing to show for it. So it's like, man,
how?
Yeah. We're screwed.
That doesn't make sense. Rodney, don't say that.
Yeah. I'm supposed to be like, well, anyway, on another note though, let's leave the political talk for a second.
Yes.
Sprite, you are the face of Sprite right now.
No, Rodney. I'm not the face of Sprite, please. I wish I was, but I'm not. Um, I just did a shoot for them. It was a Pan-African shoot.
Okay.
However, I didn't know that it was going to be in Nigeria. I thought it was going to be in like South Africa, Botswana,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't remember which other country. But I didn't know. Because, I mean, I didn't think I looked like a Nigerian. Or I'd be appealing to a Nigerian or the Nigerian market. So it was interesting for me.
You're a pretty girl. Of course, pretty girls are always appealing in any market.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's really what it is. We don't care where you're from or who your daddy is.
Yeah.
You know, if you look like, you know, if you look real good, we will pay attention. And that's really what it was. But I was pleasantly surprised when I saw the sponsored ad on my IG page. And is that Karabo? Is that K-Rab money out here being the face of Sprite on my IG feed right now? Yeah.
And you're the one who actually made me aware, because I wasn't even aware, honestly.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because also I was off social media, like I was on a social media break. So when I logged back in, then I saw your message and I was like, what? This is crazy.
What did the
But
ad
it's also
say?
cool. Sorry?
What did the ad say? Can you remember what it was? Like the copy.
It was about how you handle the heat, so you keep cool when it's hot.
Yes. So it was like,
Oh, it says a Sprite is perfect after, and then 1, 2, 3. Then 1 is hot day, and then 2, you said.
sex, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, right. That's it, right? That's perfect. Like,
That is it. Yes.
you know, and when did you start enjoying sex?
Wow, Rodney.
Perfect segue. You know, I did an episode of my podcast called "How to Close the Orgasm Gap," and I talked about orgasm.
Really?
Yeah, I talked about orgasms and sex, and you know, just my thoughts on some of those things. Riveting episode, one of my best ever. So it leads me. Thankfully, Sprite has my back on this. So. But really, I think part of, because you talked about being liberated, being a liberated woman, and
Yes.
there is no liberation without sex.
Yes.
So, when did you start enjoying sex? And that is actually the like, that's when you know you're liberated, when you're actually enjoying sex.
Yeah. The first time I had like a transcendental, you know, when you orgasm and it's as if your spirit is just leaving your body and you are now traveling through space, you're seeing stars. And I don't know if you've had that experience, but if you experience pleasure to that point, then yeah, where you literally transcend the physical world that you're in right now. That's when I started to enjoy sex.
Oh wow! Look at that. You are one of the lucky ones, huh? One of the lucky ones.
I am. But to have sex like that, you need a spiritual connection with your sexual partner, because sex is not just physical, it is a spiritual connection also.
So why aren't you dating that guy? A guy that can give you that kind of, those kind of O's. You gotta keep him close.
I do keep him close, but we're better as friends than lovers.
Wow. So even that nigga couldn't tie down Karabo.
Nah, he couldn't. He
You
couldn't.
couldn't.
It didn't work out in the end, but it was another lesson. So hey,
Yeah. Because you find out as you grow
yeah.
that, yeah, it's more than just O's, man, to like make something really work and work
Mm,
well.
mm,
Like sex is nice,
mm,
good sex is amazing, but on its own,
mm. It's not
it's
enough.
not enough. It takes you nowhere.
Mm, mm.
So
Yep.
you take your orgasm seriously, huh?
I mean, can I get my pleasure?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, what's the point of this? Why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah. I fully understand that. And I wish you all the orgasms in your future life. All the orgasms. No,
Thank you.
not even future life. Like I mean, just going forward. Like I don't know what your weekend is saying. I don't know what the rest of your year is saying. But I think as much as we wish people long life and prosperity, we gotta wish them
Yeah.
great sex.
Yes, definitely.
Like you don't have to like.
Life-changing sex.
You don't have to last together forever, but if you're gonna touch
Mm.
genitals, you better make it count. That's
It
what I'm
better
saying.
be worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
Let's take a moment to pause and breathe. Relieve the tension. Whatever you're doing, close your eyes, take a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. One more time. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Let's resume. What do you think about empathy?
Um, I think empathy is it's a good and a bad thing.
I did not see that coming. Pray tell.
So I'm an empath actually,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm able to feel people's emotions or feelings or whatever it is that they go through and
Mm-hmm.
experience.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good in the sense that I'm able to empathize or sympathize with them and understand what it is that they're going through. And whoever it is that I may be interacting with in that moment, maybe our interaction, because I'm able to feel or empathize with them, our interaction would sort of heal them or make them feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's bad because I sometimes struggle with telling the difference between what it is that I'm actually going through or what it is that someone else is going through. So I'd be feeling something someone else is going through. So because of that, yeah, it's a bit tricky. But in terms of healing someone, it is a really good thing. Yeah.
Empathy.
Empathy is good, man. Actually, it's good.
Right? Actually, I mean, it's
Yeah.
like saying to someone. It's like when someone says you're too understanding. I'm like, too understanding. There's no such thing as being too understanding. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things,
Yeah.
those virtues that just make everything better. Like it's so. I mean, if it was
Yes.
with empathy, I don't even know. I think there's a difference even between like what you describe, like being an empath. I don't even know. Okay, being an empath, right, and having
Yeah.
empathy, I think are two different things. Like being able
Yeah.
to spontaneously feel what someone else is feeling, right?
Mm.
Just because
Mm.
that's a thing that you have. Like it's like you could call it a gift or
Yes.
yeah, that's one thing. But then to actively have empathy for someone who you don't know them. You may not even like them, you know, but like to be able to put yourself in the shoes of someone else and, you know, not just feel but imagine what they're going through. So
Yeah.
so for example, it's like date rape, like the date rape drug, where someone drugs you and
Yeah.
then you wake up
Yeah.
and to find you've been raped, right? So
Yeah.
someone put it to me in a very interesting way. She said that it's like waking up and finding that one of your organs has been removed.
Mm.
Now, empathy kicks in immediately. You know what I mean? Like you begin
Yeah.
to put yourself, like, to understand that similar feeling, that intrusion, that violation of privacy doesn't even cut it anymore. It's like violating
It
your
doesn't.
humanness, you know? So now, and that's a big thing, but now applying that to smaller things. So someone might come to work and they're acting some kind of way, and then empathy is like, let me put myself in their shoes and try to imagine, you know, what it is that must have happened before this moment that is having them act out like this, right? So it doesn't have to be like a deep emotion, like, oh, they're sad, so I'm sad. But it's like, this person is being an asshole. I could react like an asshole back, but rather I can empathize and try to understand
With it.
what it is that makes him act this way. Is it his upbringing? Is it something that happened before he got here today? Is it even a mental illness that, you know, because there's sometimes your brain can be out of whack somehow and then you be acting out of character and, you know, no one will know what's going on. Not even you would know what's going on. You know, that kind of thing. So when you now deploy that kind of thinking, it makes you a little bit kinder. You can still, you know, hold the person accountable and call them out, but you just have a little bit of kindness attached to it. You know what I mean?
Yes. I wanted to say that it's about being kind, because we all deserve a bit of kindness. So if someone does try to understand where you're coming from, it kind of sort of lifts the weight off of your shoulders also.
It lifts,
Yeah.
like, and especially when you feel that someone has done that work for you, like someone has been empathetic towards you. You feel it. You may not even know the word to describe it, but you feel that something just happened that this person did and they're acting better towards me. It changes the game.
It does, yeah. It's that act of kindness. Yeah.
You know, it's why some relationships kind of like, you know, do so well sometimes. Just imagine anyway, you don't have to imagine you're a girl, you experience like menstrual pains and like cramps and, you know, that flow of blood, like, you know what that is. But as a guy, if he's trying to like get into a relationship with you, part of being empathetic is, yeah, I haven't experienced this thing that she experiences every month, but I can understand, or I can try to imagine how the chaos of it all can affect her and make her crazy. So instead of reacting every time she goes crazy, I apply my empathy. I'm like, okay, let me just allow her to do her thing. She'll calm down and we talk about it. That's empathy.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. And that's very different from being an empath in that way as you described. So that's your personal problem. but empathy is never a bad thing. That's just the point I wanted to make.
Yeah, it's a good thing. No, I agree with you fully. It is good. It is good. And we need more people to be empathetic. Because we're
Man.
all going through it. We're all going through it.
Like, do you know the problems in society we can solve if the people in charge, the people who get to make decisions or who get to like figure out solutions, actually applied empathy? Like it's mind blowing. Like, think of something like rape, for example. And I love going back to it because it's like the biggest extreme I can think of, but
Yeah.
you know, it makes sense to me. So imagine you're trying to solve rape, right? And rather than just being outraged every time
But
a rape, right? Who
who
what?
would you empathize with? The one who got raped or the one who did the raping?
Both of them. But if you're trying to solve the problem of rape, and I know it sounds weird, right? How could you possibly empathize with the rapist? But hear me out.
Yeah.
Hear me out. I'm about to bust your brain.
Okay.
So it's like this, right? The first thing is, what rape is at its core is basically the abusing of someone's boundaries, except it's of
Yeah.
a sexual nature and the consequences are a bit more dire for the victim. Right?
Yeah.
Right? So now if you think about it, like, think of all the ways that we take what's not ours on a normal day, when we disrespect other people's boundaries, where we feel entitled to their
Yeah.
time. Like, it's a thing that we do on a normal day. It's just that our monster is not as untamed as to go and rape another person.
Yeah.
But the core of it, of what makes a person rape, is in all of us. That's empathy, right? Now, if you want to solve rape, you're thinking to yourself, okay, first of all, what is it that makes a person rape? And then by the time you think about it, it's like, oh my God, there's like, it could be trauma, a trauma response, one. It could be a situation where this person just never was taught how to respect women. It could be a fetish, like one of those like weird ass, dangerous ass fetish where he can only get off if it's rape, right? And
psychopath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that.
Yeah.
And then there's those guys who just, don't know that what they're doing is rape. They feel like, oh, it's part of the game. Like, oh, she wants me to like try harder, or like, So when you think of it, you understand that there's like levels to rape in a way. So and can you really like go at those different things the same way? They require different approaches to solve.
Yeah, they do.
Right? And that's where empathy comes in. You can't treat the guy who has like a weird ass psychopath fetish the same way as the guy who raped because he thought it was just, part of the game.
It was normal.
Yeah. Right. And so in that way, and then you now take the empathy also to the victim. Is like, to rape apologists and people who victim blame. It's like, yo, like asking all those questions about what was she doing there at the time and what was she wearing,
Yeah.
This is not even to say that those questions aren't valid, but they're not what is necessary at the time because someone just experienced something that is so traumatic that requires a heart-based argument than a mind-based one, which is, can you imagine what it feels like to be forced against your will sexually? Like, imagine, like, put yourself in her shoes, especially if you're a guy. Imagine some weirdo somewhere where, held you down, spread your butt cheeks open, and did God knows what. That's fucking terrifying. And if anybody asked you what you were wearing, what you were doing there at the time, you would knock them the fuck out. Right?
True.
Yeah. So, empathy on both sides is so key today. And I know this is an extreme, and I'm not even saying to a victim of rape. Yeah, I'm not even saying to a victim of rape that they should like have empathy. I'm not saying any like a woman or victim of rape should have empathy for a rapist necessarily. I'm not even saying that. But what I'm saying is that empathy is such a tool that can be applied in like so many situations if you wanted it to. Like, it can change the game. So imagine if you can apply it to a rapist, how much more to a coworker who just rubbed you the wrong way? You know what I mean? Or a stranger on the street. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like, not so much that we should just be out here empathizing with rapists, but like it's it's just a tool that could really, really be handy in solving a lot of society's problems. If you know what I mean.
No, I agree. It's just showing kindness.
showing kindness, and I think everyone deserves kindness. Like regardless
We do.
of who you are and what you've done, and kindness. And again, being kind doesn't mean that you have excused the act or that you are justifying what they've done. It just means I know all of those details. I know the facts. They're wrong as hell, but I just choose to not be an asshole about it.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. Because then you think to yourself, what choices, what decisions, what like circumstances in life must have gone down that
For that to happen.
yes, and could easily put me in that situation. You know what I mean? Like it's like even as a guy, I think about it sometimes. Like, yo, like this nigga raped, and as I'm about to just judge them, like, damn, you rapist, nigga raped. Oh my god, you deserve all the shit. I'm thinking to myself, but damn though, like, what is it? Like, what do I have to experience to feel like that is okay or normal to me? Like, what has to be different about my life journey that, you know, I would be so like the fear of God would just leave my soul, and I'll be raping willy-nilly. Like, I think about that, and that's empathy to me. And once I think about that, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is trash, this is crap, but you know, let me resist the urge to feel like, you know, I'm better just because I haven't raped, or just because the monster in me doesn't like come out the same way it does in these people. Yeah.
But then, okay, I just thought of, what about those men who abuse women? How would you empathize with them? So fine, this guy is beating his partner, and then I don't know, a few minutes later or a few moments later, he realizes what he's done, and he apologizes to the partner. He says sorry. The partner forgives him, and he does it again, and it's like an ongoing cycle. Like, how would you empathize with someone who keeps doing the same thing over and over, even though they know it's wrong, but they keep doing it?
Yeah, so in that situation, I'm empathizing in that, like, I'm empathizing because you just don't know, like, how fucked up what you're doing is. It's like in the Bible when Jesus said, when he was on the cross and he was like, and he was about to die, he said to God, Father, forgive them for they don't know what they do. Right?
Yeah.
That's empathy. Like, sometimes you're not even like thinking so much about, like, again, it's not to justify their actions. That's not what it's about. It's just a feeling like, damn, man, like what, like this guy doesn't even like has no idea how these actions are like ruining, especially if it's a woman that is a really, like, she's a keeper. Imagine if this guy has a keeper, like a really good woman, and he's like fucking around like that. Like, the empathy is just like, damn, man, you don't even know what you have. You don't even know what you got. And then, you know, also like judge the action. Like, so it's like judging the action without being too harsh on the person themselves. That's, and again, it's like back to Mandela. A lot of South Africans don't have empathy for like the hard choice he had to make, even though they don't agree with it. They don't understand, like, to be a leader means making hard choices that a lot of people will not agree with. A lot of people that
won't be happy with.
Yeah, exactly. And owning up to that. So that's empathy. Just saying, man, I cannot imagine, or I can imagine, you know, the dilemma and the difficult situation. But with a wife beater, with a man who beats his wife is just, man, really? Like, what is getting into you? Like, you're not even, so it's not about like, oh, what did she do? Or, you know, it's like,
Exactly.
who didn't raise you right to think that this is okay?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it goes back to having psychological issues or
Mm-hmm.
inner child wounds that are not healed. And
Yeah.
obviously, I just think a lot of people are not aware of those psychological and inner child wounds that they have.
Yeah.
And people fear healing, hey?
You think so?
That's something yeah, people fear healing
How do you mean?
because
Yeah.
sorry,
Mm.
part of the healing process is reflecting, going back to all those things or most of those things that have hurt you, that have caused you
Mm.
pain,
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to understand why it happened or how it happened. And in understanding that, you end up accepting and then letting go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I believe
Yeah.
healing
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the actual act of going back to that trauma or that wound is not nice
Yeah.
because it's as though you're reliving that moment. So now why would you wanna go back to that very thing that caused you the most pain to such an extent it affected your behavior in your present life?
Yeah.
Not a lot of people have that willingness within them to actually go back and find out what happened, you know.
Yeah. Again, um, I think even healing, like getting to the healing process or to the healing part is like maybe like the second or third step to anything because even
Yeah.
even before that, you got to think to yourself, man, what kind of person do I want to be? What kind of life do I want to live? You know?
Mm,
And then from that part, from
mm,
that point, it's like, okay, if I want to get to that point or get to be that person, what do I have to change about my life?
mm,
Then when you figure out what you have to change about your life, then you now have to think about, oh my God, I'm dealing with these things that make it difficult for me to achieve that goal. Then you can start to look for healing. But if you don't have that initial goal of wanting to be like maybe the best version of yourself or being a better person or maybe achieving some life
mm,
goal that is important to you,
mm,
healing just doesn't
mm,
make any sense. It feels like a waste of time,
mm,
right?
mm,
So I guess a lot of
mm,
people haven't yet even gone to that point where it's like, I want to be amazing. I want to be useful to my
mm,
community. I want to affect people positively.
mm,
I want to I want to be a god out here. If you don't have those thoughts and those
mm.
feelings, healing is just like it's like
Yeah,
what the fuck am I doing that for? Like it's the
it
fit.
won't be a thought.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Okay. 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 I like how you put it. I like how you put it. Yeah.
So now we spoke about like having that like ideal, right? That north star that keeps you oriented and like making the right decisions. What's that for you? Like what's the best version of yourself? Can you like imagine that? Like what's you being a god look like?
Um, whatever it is that I'm doing, as long as I'm expressing beauty,
Mm,
whether it's fashion, whether I'm seeing art or creating art, whether I'm taking pictures or seeing pictures, whether I'm listening to music, as long as it's an expression of beauty, that's just me.
mm. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. And that is a worthy cause to aspire to because
Mm.
you think of like you want to be an embodiment of beauty, of grace,
Yes. Yes.
of
Of light, all that positivity.
yeah, you want that to be translated in your every move, your every step, and your every word.
Yes. Yes.
And that is what's up.
Because even my presence, even my looks.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's just all about exuding and expressing beauty. I mean, you associate beauty with beautiful things, with lights, with love, with joy, with happiness. You wouldn't associate it with any bad, negative thing. Sorry. Yeah. So
And
yeah,
ultimately, I associate beauty with anything that just makes the lives of others easier, like
exactly,
or more beautiful. Like your beauty helps others
exactly,
be beautiful in whatever way that happens.
exactly, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
because
Yeah.
people talk about all the time. It's like if you ask someone what they want out of life or what their goal is, and they'll say something like, "I want to be happy," and then they
Mm,
forget that, and that's a nice thing. That's a nice thing to say. But the thing about it is that you cannot be happy without also having an intention of making others happy.
exactly.
Like you
Yes.
can't say you want to be happy and then be doing some shit to other people. Like the energy is gonna come back to you all
Mm,
the way. You know what I mean? Like if you treat people like shit, they're
exactly.
gonna respond in all kinds of ways.
Like shit.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta carry others along in whatever you're doing, and that is really where
Mm,
you know true beauty is. Like I know we all talk about like, yeah, you gotta like have your selfish years, you gotta have your self-care, like, but I think the level you get to like of awareness and maturity where you realize that really and truly, you know there's no best self, or there's no like version of enjoying life where you are not at the very least being a a positive influence on others.
mm,
Like that's how you get yours. If you want to be happy, you gotta be that for others.
true.
Yeah. So
That's very true. I read somewhere that you should live authentically, because if you live authentically, you're being the best to yourself as well as everyone else.
boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kira money.
Rodney,
Wow.
what an honor! What an honor! I'm really proud to be a part of this, Rodney. Especially knowing how far you've come. Like, it really is an honor, and I appreciate you hitting me up and wanting to have a conversation with me. Um, yeah, it is quite an honor. Thank you very much for this, and may you continue to flourish, hey? Like, this
Hey,
is it's really dope.
thank you very much, Karabo. Thank you for doing this with me. Thank you
Mm.
for your time also. And look at us, eh? From uni. What?
Right?
2013 was the last time I was in Monash. And this
Yo,
is 2022.
imagine.
Yeah. How many years is that?
A lot. My math sucks.
Yeah. A lot. It's like maybe 15 years.
Yo, that's a whole 15-year-old, imagine.
Yeah. How old are you?
Rodney, I'm old enough.
You've been old enough.
I'm
You've been
kidding.
old enough for the longest time.
I'm I'm 31.
Same.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
So thanks again, Karabo. And
Thank you, Rodney.
this is the Young God.